Hey everyone, we have all been there, right? You're hitting a wall, you're getting frustrated, and it feels like the only option you have is to just start all over again. Well, today we're going to talk about how to break that frustrating loop for good. We're going to master a really simple but powerful workflow, and we'll use the Kioptrix lab as our training ground to turn all those painful restarts into actual real progress. You know that feeling, don't you? You're making progress, you're learning things, you feel like you're right on the edge of a breakthrough, and then bam, dead end. You've been staring at the exact same screen for what feels like an eternity, and the only solution that comes to mind is the one you dread the most. And what is that solution? It's the restart. You try something, it doesn't work, so you reboot the whole machine and you start the entire process from scratch, losing all that progress you fought so hard for. This is the cycle, the silent progress killer that we're here to talk about today. Let's give it a name, the restart loop. And trust me, if you've ever tried to learn a new technical skill, especially in a lab environment, you know this feeling deep down. It's that sinking sensation in your stomach when you realize, ugh, I have to go all the way back to the beginning. See, the real problem with the restart loop isn't just about losing time, although that's super frustrating. It's about losing information. Every single failed attempt, every command you typed out, every little piece of data you uncovered, poof, it's all gone. It's like a learning black hole. So where does this learning black hole tend to suck us in? Well, for a lot of us trying to pick up new tech skills, it's inside practice environments, places exactly like the Kioptrix lab, which is going to be our setting for this whole explainer. For anyone who might not know, Kioptrix is basically a series of virtual machines that were intentionally built with security holes. Think of it as a safe, legal playground for learning penetration testing. But because you're meant to poke around, experiment, and fail, it's also the perfect trap. It's a place where that restart button gets a serious workout. So, how do we escape? We need a better way. We can't just keep trying random things. We need a system. So let's get to the solution. I call it the master workflow. And this isn't just a few tips. It's a completely different way of approaching the problem. And I mean, just look at the contrast here. The restart loop is totally chaotic and random. It forces you to forget what you've just learned. The master workflow, on the other hand, is systematic. It's documented. Every single step, even a failure, becomes a step forward because you're actually capturing what you've learned along the way. Okay, so what does this new methodical approach actually look like? Well, it's a 4-phase workflow that takes you from broad discovery all the way to specific action. We're going to start with reconnaissance. Then we narrow our focus with enumeration. After that, we get to exploitation, and the glue that holds it all together, the step that really breaks the loop, is continuous documentation. Let's quickly run through these. First up, reconnaissance. Think of this as looking from the outside in. You're just gathering publicly available information, trying to get the lay of the land without actually touching the target system directly. Next, we move into enumeration. This is where you get a little more active. It's like you're knocking on the doors, checking which ports are open, figuring out what services are running on them. You're actively building a map of all the potential ways in. And then comes exploitation. This is the part everyone gets excited about, right? This is where you take a vulnerability you found and you actually try to use it to gain access. This is also where the try and fail part happens a lot. But with our workflow, that failure is no longer a major setback. And that brings us to the absolute linchpin of this entire system, documentation. Now notice this isn't a final report you write at the end. It's a continuous process. You do it throughout every single phase. This, right here, is the real secret to breaking that restart loop. So let's talk about this secret weapon, because it's a very simple tool that will completely change how you solve complex problems. And not just in Kioptrix, but pretty much everywhere. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The entire shift from chaotic guessing to methodical progress doesn't require some fancy, expensive software. It all hinges on the simple but incredibly powerful act of writing things down. And that's really the key takeaway. This is not about learning some complex new tool. It's about building a simple habit. A habit that preserves your work, your time, and honestly, your sanity. And it all starts with something you already know how to use. It looks like this: a new memo, a blank note. Yep, that's it. Whether it's a plain text file, a physical notebook, or a notes app on your phone, the most powerful tool you have is often the simplest one. This is the beginning of your external memory. So what actually goes in this magic memo? You have to be specific. Write down the target's IP address. Log every single open port and service you find. Note any potential vulnerabilities you want to check out later. And this is the most important part. Copy and paste the exact commands you run and make a quick note about whether they succeeded or failed. Every attempt, win or lose, now becomes a valuable piece of data. By adopting this one simple habit, you transform your entire process. You stop being trapped in that frustrating loop and you get on a clear path towards mastery. You're not just randomly trying things anymore, you're actively building a knowledge base. And this is such an important thing to understand. Your memo stops being a boring log of things you did, and it becomes your strategic roadmap. So when you have to restart the machine, you don't have to restart your brain. You just look at your notes and you pick up exactly where you left off, now armed with the knowledge of what not to do next. If there is one single thing to take away from this entire explainer, it's this. Having a good process doesn't just make you more efficient, it is the very thing that makes progress possible in the first place, especially when you're facing failure and setbacks over and over again. So, this workflow, it's not really just about a virtual lab, is it? It's a mindset. It applies to learning to code, to fixing a complex bug at work, or at tackling any difficult project. The real question is, now that you have the key, what loop in your own life are you going to break next?